Welcome to a special edition of Brokerage in Motion. I'm Katie Fehlinger. NAILBA marks a milestone this year, our 40th annual meeting. But it's also a year of firsts, our first chance to gather since the pandemic, our first ever hybrid version of the event, plus some things new and different. So today we're sitting down with CEO Dan LaBert for a discussion about all things annual meeting and what attendees can expect. Hey Dan, good to see you.
Hi. It's only been a little while.
A couple days ago. We record a lot these days.
Right, lots of video.
Lots and lots of video. That's a big cornerstone of what we've been working on throughout this past year for sure. But this is a really big year for NAILBA just in general. We are celebrating 40 years. Yes,
so the annual meeting will mark 40 years, which is fantastic. This is clearly an organization that's built on, resembles very much our generational leadership with our member agencies. So there's a lot of mothers and fathers with now sons and daughters running agencies. And, this meeting is going to recognize the fact that 40 years of being at the table instead of on the menu and wholesale brokerage exists and is strong moving forward. So great opportunity to recognize that. And of course, all the people that, really helped trailblaze a path for NAILBA to exist today. So we will be recognizing 40 years at the annual meeting.
It's exciting stuff. And we are, of course, returning to in-person for the NAILBA annual meeting this year. Can you give everyone an overview of the safety precautions that are going to be in place?
Sure. Now this event is being held in Orlando, Florida. So we are within the parameters established by the government of Florida. And obviously some common sense needs to happen here. I really don't want to hear about, I have the antibodies or any kind of stuff like that. If you're vaccinated, wonderful. If you chose not to be vaccinated, then wear a mask. The hotel will have its own parameters in place, but within the parameters of the state of Florida, the event will be held, and there will be some areas where you should have a mask on, and other areas where if you're vaccinated, I think you'll be fine. But we are doing everything we can to make this a safe experience, a safe environment, but yet a recognizable one given the history of NAILBA attendees. So use some common sense. If you're not vaccinated, mask up in group settings. If you are vaccinated, wonderful. It's your choice if you want to continue, but let's make sure this get together is a safe and healthy one.
Yeah, so let's talk about a bit more of the experience. Can you give us sort of the bird's eye view of the overall schedule as well as an overview of what we're going to see on the main stage this time?
Right. So Monday and Tuesday. So that's 11/15 and 11/16, November 15, November 16. There is a number of meetings and luncheons going on November 15th, but we are doing, as discussed in past Brokerage in Motion, an executive spotlight session on Monday, November 15th at approximately 5 p.m. We announced Damon John from Shark Tank will come out and speak, sponsored by Pacific Life. And Damon John is going to be talking about the brand from within. He was, started from nothing, built his business, FUBU, to a multi-billion-dollar business. There's a great entrepreneurial story there. We will have Simon Bailey, who is a, expert at creating customers for life. He has a Disney background, a Ritz-Carlton background. So those two individuals will be on the executive spotlight session that Monday, November 15th. But then again, like Tuesday, we'll do the official open. But Monday, it all gets started around 5 p.m. So you want to jump into Tuesday, or do I just keep going with Monday?
I would say, yeah, keep going. I mean, what the overall schedule is kind of what we're focusing on here. So
yeah. Let me go through it a little bit, just some bullet point highlights for people tuning in. I mean, the executive spotlight sessions on Monday evening, of course, the exhibit hall, big opening reception, which is always well received Monday evening as well. And then of course, NAILBA Rockstar, which we'll dive into later. Tuesday is your official formal general session opening. We will have a phenomenal national anthem performance by a legendary performer. If you've watched the NFL and the Super Bowl or the playoff games, you may have seen this individual perform. So we're really excited about that person. And then going into just, the keynote speakers, Ross Bernstein, returning to NAILBA, has a great new presentation called Wearing the Sea. This one hits home on leadership. This speaker is being sponsored by John Hancock. So clearly they are vested in, the leadership angle of the industry and continuing to grow it. We have a follow-up presentation by Admiral Sandy Stowes. She is the former Coast Guard, former vice chairperson in the Coast Guard, run the Coast Guard Academy. She's going to talk about emotional intelligence. That's being sponsored by Retirement Genius. We're going to keep each speaker going with, political affairs issues, since this is a political advocacy group that we kind of flirt with what's going on in DC. We're more industry advocacy than political advocacy. But Michael Smirkanish, well known on CNN, definitely a central viewpoint individual, is going to give us the lay of the land for the political landscape moving forward. That's being sponsored by AIG, so some great support there. We also announced not Michael Smirkanish. I just said Michael Smirkanish. We also announced Jim Craig. So, the Do You Believe in Miracles 1980 goaltender for the U.S. Olympic ice hockey team. That's being sponsored by Transamerica. He's going to talk about high-performance team building. I think there's a great angle there where you bring individuals from all around the world or the country and put them together on a team that has to succeed. Obviously, he has a lot of experience in that, a gold medal to show for it, but really apropos to a lot of the sales teams within the NAILBA community of, okay, I have a person in Boston, Orlando, and San Francisco. They have different backgrounds. Some of them are more creative. Some of them are more type A versus type B. So how do you put that team together to win? But what just a fantastic lineup of who's who, covering every single high-level professional development topic that is important to our agencies, their advisors, and of course, our carrier partners.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, so much of what we're able to bring to the attendees at the annual meeting is through that generous support of our sponsors as well as our exhibitors. So can you touch on that aspect? There's a reason that these sponsors support NAILBA.
There is, and I'm glad, I'm really happy to answer that, because this year the list of support is tremendous. And, candidly, it's almost at that point of who's not on the list. I hate to say it that way, but clearly we're pretty proud of the NAILBA annual meeting. We want to show appreciation for the support we give, but just some of the ones I rattle off with those speakers. Of course, there's others, Prudential, Mutual of Omaha, that are doing different events, Integrity Marketing, Retirement Genius, I mentioned them, but just about every single carrier, Protective, AIG, John Hancock, Transamerica, I can go down, the list goes on forever. But just about every major U.S. carrier who's in the life insurance or wholesale brokerage space is present at NAILBA this year.
That's fantastic to hear. And I know that we've got a sponsor thank you reception going on to honor that support.
That's a great to bring that up, because all sponsors and exhibitors are invited to a NAILBA leadership member-only event. And so that's the NAILBA Board of Directors, the NAILBA Foundation Board of Directors, all the past chairs of NAILBA, and then, of course, all of the sponsor and exhibitor attendees. So just a private reception. So if you haven't yet RSVP'd for that and you're in that list, you should RSVP soon. But just our way of saying thanks, and just a little pregame, if you will, before the show gets started.
I like that, and very well deserved. Now, I don't know whether you are the one who coined the phrase hallway magic.
It's mine.
It is yours. Okay, well, I liked it. And you're actually the first person that I've ever heard use that term. So talk about that. Why is our meeting the meeting to attend? Who's going to be there and who should be there?
Right. Well, honestly, I did take it from someone else in another space, but since I'm the first one, to my knowledge, to use it in our space, I own it. So it is hallway magic, right? And listen, There's a lot of great conferences out there. There's almost too many conferences out there, but there's a lot of great conferences out there that focus on professional development or regulatory updates, and they have their place, and those meetings are needed. What makes NAILBA unique is our event is all about the hallway magic. And the hallway magic is showing up, checking into your room, walking down to the space where everyone from NAILBA will be, and who are you going to see in that hallway? And, it's going to be numerous heads of distribution at the carrier level. It's going to be principals from different BGAs and, their teams. So that time when you need a conversation to take place, listen, there's a lot of great IMOs out there, and they all support NAILBA, and they have these great meetings, but sometimes you just don't have access to the C-suite. And that's what NAILBA attracts to its meeting. And so you may be walking down a hallway as a BGA principal, and you want to speak with the CEO of an insurance carrier that you do a lot of business with. And maybe that CEO may or may not have attended an IMO event. Well, NAILBA is always your trusted source to speak with the highest levels of leadership. And that's where the magic happens. And we don't necessarily have to just focus on titles. It could just be you're walking down the hallway and you're a product or service provider and you see a member of the team for an agency that's your client, and it's the opportunity to say, hey, how's it going? And have that discussion. So NAILBA annual meeting is hallway magic.
Yes.
But we have a pretty big hallway sometimes. So sometimes we run out of room in that hallway.
Right. Lots of space to roam around in at the Gaylord Palms as
Yes.
well. So let's talk numbers really briefly too. What is the estimate right now of attendees, the estimated number of BGAs, all that good stuff?
Well, I am a betting person, and our trajectory right now has us probably landing between 600 and 700 total attendees. Now, two ways to look at this. One, it's down from our previous years, but we did have a pandemic to maneuver around, and our industry has started meeting this past year, but this will definitely be the largest gathering in our space. And I think that's fantastic, considering we were really only planning for about 400 to 500. And in fact, that we're going to probably come in between 600 and 700 is awesome. I hear, I always get the question, especially from the carriers, and the carriers are tough, right? Because they're being pulled 8 to 10 different ways, and we send out the list, and sometimes there's just how many GAs are actually attending. My guesstimate, it's going to come in around 200 individual broker general agencies. Heck, I just heard from one that's a fairly large one, and he said to me, "Great update, Dan. I'm bringing 5 of my people because it's been too long since they've had exposure to NAILBA, and it's a time to get together." So I think we're going to be around 200 plus or minus. And on top of that, I think there's probably of that 200, there'll probably be around 75 to 100 that bring at least one, maybe a +2 or 3. So I think we're in great shape. It's where distribution meets. So we are living up to our motto of turning out a really strong number. And candidly, nobody has turned out these kind of numbers this year. But leave it to NAILBA to blow past that barrier.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of business to get done at NAILBA 40, but we do like to mix in entertainment as well as the opportunity to support our charitable foundation too and honor our fellow colleagues. So can you also give us a preview of just some of the other featured events going on?
Well, let's walk it through as we discussed. So we already mentioned the sponsor, exhibitor, and NAILBA leadership private reception, but I really want all sponsors and exhibitors to attend if possible. And then, of course, Monday night after the executive spotlight session, approximately around 6:30 p.m., we have the exhibit hall grand opening. And this has turned into quite the social event where you get to see everyone and walk it through. We have things spaced out appropriately to make it feel better. We talked with the hotel about their filtration system. Obviously, that's why we want everyone to be vaccinated, but just creates a safer environment. But the exhibit hall grand opening is Monday night. Later that evening, of course, there will be carrier dinners and product and service providers, getting together socially. But later that night is NAILBA Rockstar, which, as I've heard you say, fire up the karaoke machine because it will be quite the performance. And is it true that there's a possible participation from someone this year?
Yes,
You're in?
I can rock a karaoke mic. Right. And I decided that I would be the first NAILBA team member to also take the stage at NAILBA Rockstar. So it's not just the battle of the carriers and the BGAs and the techies and the vendors and the life settlement groups. Now it's also going to be the NAILBA team members getting in on this. So
well, I'm glad you took that bullet for me because I will gladly cheer you on. But NAILBA Rockstar's great, right? Because Monday night, people have different travel schedules. Some people could make the executive spotlight session. Most people will make the opening reception, but that's a good way to close the night and get us geared up for the next day. And there's some great sponsors in there we talked about before, Securian, Mutual of Omaha, Prudential. So let's put together, let's get together, let's follow the schedule and put on a great event. I mentioned the Tuesday schedule. Well, that afternoon, we opened the exhibit hall back up. Technically, the exhibit hall is always open, but we open it back up where it's like sort of high tide. And all the speakers that I mentioned for the Tuesday session have agreed to do meet and greets. And now usually we do these in private, but we want to expose the attendees to the great speakers we have and the talent they bring. NAILBA is purchasing 50 books from each of these speakers so the first 50 attendees to each of those sponsors that I listed and their exhibit booth to meet the speaker will get a free copy of the book signed by that speaker, take a quick picture, but it also allows us to keep a safe distance between meet and greets with the speaker sitting down or standing up at the table or the exhibit booth, creating a little space just to maintain a good environment with the attendees. So all of those Tuesday speakers will have the meet and greet. Also on Tuesday, we of course have the first ever NAILBA Foundation Casino Night, right? So what a great idea that we're already all dressed up for the Moors dinner, which we'll discuss, and then the opportunity to gamble. And I think there are a few gamblers in our audience. No names mentioned, but Steve Katz. And there's an opportunity to have some play money, win some cool prizes, and all of the a portion of the proceeds will all go toward the NAILBA Charitable Foundation. Of course, I say portion, and everyone wants to know what portion means. That's because we got to pay the bill first. So after we pay the bill, you could have the rest of the proceeds going to the event. So the more people that register, the more opportunity we can. Of course, on that Wednesday, then we have the NAILBA Classic golf tournament, sponsored by Legal & General America this year. Another big supporter of NAILBA, and that will be taking place in Celebration, Florida, at a course with transportation provided to and from the hotel, with the following golf reception. So there's a lot of spotlight events going on, right? But probably the biggest, and definitely one of the best, is the Douglas Moores Award. Now, there are some interesting components around the Moores Award this year. With our schedule changing and adding these executive spotlight sessions on Monday, we've had to move some things into the Moores Award. So first and foremost, come down to the Moores Award reception. There'll be some killer prizes there, some private meet and greets that you'll bid on, some memorabilia, some trips, right? We're traveling again, so that's back. And then once we go into the Moores Award dinner, we have a session that is dedicated to the NAILBA Charitable Foundation. So that's a full room, and all of the supporters get to see what organizations have been awarded grants this year, what agencies shepherded those grants in. And then in addition to the Charitable Foundation, we'll have the ID20 Awards. And NAILBA started that in 2019, I believe. I could be off there, but it sounds about right, 18 or 19.
Yep, you got it.
And it honors the 20 people who are trailblazing a path now. The Moores Award is wonderful because it recognizes a lifetime achievement award in our space, but the ID20 independent distribution, ID20, recognizes those that are doing it right now, and that's sponsored by Prudential, and they'll be announced during the Moores Award dinner. So lots of awards to give out at that event. We have a new sponsor around the toast, which will be Mass Mutual. Some carriers are leaning out of independent distribution, and Mass Mutual is leaning in, and they're leaning in hard. They came in a wonderful way to celebrate the Moores Award winner. And then finally with the Moores Award, since we didn't have 2020, not one toast, but two toasts. We have to toast and raise a glass to the 2020 award winner, and of course, announce the 2021 award winner. So lots of toasts going on, which is great. That just means more champagne for everybody if you're into that. But these are some great spotlight events. So we spread it out. We have a lot of space. We have a good number of people coming. So it really creates an opportunity to pick and choose what you want to go to, but have fun, dress up, dress down, drink some champagne, drink some sparkling cider, whatever it is, but we're going to honor people in our industry.
In-person event, so much happening, so much going on, but of course it is important that we talk about the second piece of NAILBA 40. We've gone hybrid this year. So what should people know about the virtual portion of the annual meeting?
One of very few associations set up and crazy enough to do both, which is what we are doing. But obviously with the success from 2020 with NAILBA Engage and 1,800 plus registrants at that time. It's well over 2,000 now on the on-demand stuff. But we've dedicated 3 days, November 10th, December 18th, and December 15th. These are online only. This is content that you will not see in person. And of course, the in-person content you will not see online. So for those who are attending in person, you get a whole different show. For those who are online, you'll be able to see and hear from all the industry experts and leaders. Our days are dedicated. Let me actually read this out so I don't mess it up. But November 10th, we're going to talk about all the products. So all of independent distribution, life, DI, long-term care, annuities, MedSup. Of course, final expense is a big one. A lot of agencies that are selling final expense or graduating to selling life insurance, or graduating, probably transitioning is a better word. December 8th, we're going to hear from just different leaders in the industry about what to expect for 2022. Of course, we're big focus on sales and underwriting. And then December 15th, all technology, all innovation, all the time. So very similar to how we did NAILBA Engage. We just happened to put a 600-700 person in-person event in the middle of it, and we'll have opportunities for everyone to connect. So it is probably the best way I could describe our virtual, since we're all kind of tired of virtual, but it's not going anywhere, right? It's kind of the direction. But we got a great testimonial from iPipeline, and clearly they are the leaders in insurance technology and innovation. One of the leaders, I should say, but where iPipeline goes, the market usually follows. And let me just read this. The feedback we received from our reps and attending executives was that NAILBA had by far the best virtual platform they've ever experienced, extremely robust. The quality of the content was top-notch and everything seemed to run flawlessly. I can only imagine how much effort it took to pull off. Overall, we received extremely positive feedback from their virtual attendees. So virtual is staying, it's not going. Zoom is alive, obviously we're on it. And a virtual event done right can offer return on investment and kind of lower barriers and increase engagement. So fantastic quote there from some of the technology leaders in iPipeline. So clearly we're doing it right, Katie. NAILBA's doing something right. And fingers crossed, this in-person meeting will be our best experience yet.
Yeah, so great to hear that positive feedback. And let's just wrap this up. A lot of times you start off meetings like this or discussions like this with housekeeping. We're going to wrap up with the housekeeping now for folks. Talk a little bit of logistics. Can you talk hotel registration for both the in-person and the hybrid? Just that general information.
Well, I thought I would sell the sizzle up front, right? And not bury the lead.
You lead with the best, for sure.
Right. So listen, we want everyone to register. These events cost money. They cost time. There's always a group of people who I'm not registering. I'll just hang out in the hallway at NAILBA 40. And I'm like, really? Have we really got to that point where you're just going to hang out in the bar? I mean, come on. Register for the event. It's online. You don't have to be a NAILBA member. There are other ways to register. So let's get that done first. The Gaylord Palms Hotel has we've sold out our room block twice now. They've been very supportive in working with us. So there are still rooms available. There's even a few events going on pre and post NAILBA. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Marketing Alliance, big supporter of NAILBA. They have a member reception going on. Libra, big supporters of NAILBA. Almost 100% of all their agencies are members of NAILBA. And if they're not members, we usually find them, and Bill Sheila will guilt them into joining NAILBA, which is great. But they have their big luncheon on Monday, November 15th, and then back at NAILBA, which is really welcomed with open arms. Really, thanks to John Ziambris and his leadership of AIMCOR. But the AIMCOR annual partners meeting is taking place immediately after the NAILBA annual meeting. So a lot of their member agencies are coming in both for the conference, our conference, and of course the partners meeting. There are still some outstanding people that are coming in a little later, but there's no reason not to be here if you're in wholesale, brokerage, independent distribution. But get your room, right? Get registered, and and then see you in hopefully sunny Orlando.
Yeah. And then online as well, surrounding it. So I don't know about you, Dan, but I just feel like this year feels different. There is a very palpable excitement that I didn't quite have in other years, at least compared to this one. So we're going to just keep working hard to make NAILBA 40 the best meeting yet. And thank you, of course, Dan, for all of this helpful info for everyone.
Absolutely. There's a great vibe, and fear of missing out is real. So don't FOMO, just register.
Thanks, Dan.